with your host, Andrew Romanella.
When you play Battle in Mario Kart and you don't turn off any of the items, there are bananas everywhere. I mean, it's like you're losing your balloons because you're slipping on bananas left and right. Bananas everywhere. And you'll be shown on the board just like this. We're locked. We are locked. Welcome into the Rome Show here, 12 OZ Sports. I don't know how that happens. I'll never understand how that happens. It mutes. Sometimes it doesn't. I think my hand gestures hit something on the computer, and therefore I am silenced. But Rocky, see how, look, we could also show you how the comments work by him telling me I'm muted. So it's a beautiful thing for the people. 12 OZ Sports or the Rome Show 1, Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok, all of the social medias. NBA, NHL, bananas. That's your lineup today. Let's start in the National Basketball Association, where last night the Oklahoma City Thunder dominated the Minnesota Timberwolves 124-94 in Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. They are now headed to the NBA Finals. That is the Oklahoma City Thunder for the first time since 2012. The iteration of that 2012 team was Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. So it's been 13 years for the Thunder franchise. But it just goes to show you what taking your time to truly build a franchise from the ground up looks like, and not just in basketball, but what it could look like in any sport. The Oklahoma City Thunder are the prime example of a small market team and how a small market team should operate. Just because they lost those three players over time, James Harden first, then Kevin Durant, then Russell Westbrook, it did not change Sam Presti's ability to work around what he has and continue to make them a contender. Now, it was some bad years, okay? Because you went through the year where it was just Russell in like 17, 18, 18, 19, when he went through the triple-double thing, or and became the second player ever to average a triple-double over the course of a season. Now Nikola Jokic has done it like 3 times. That dude's so good. But the point being is that they were a consistent first-round exit team, okay? Then you get SGA in 2019-2020. The next season, you're 22-50. The next season, you're 24-58. The next season, you get Chris Paul. Chris Paul, huge factor. You make the postseason, you lose. Last year, you're 57-25, make it to the second round, lose. This year, 68-14. Number 1 overall seed in the West, and now you make it to the NBA Finals. No one on this team is making max money. No one on this team is overly paid. No one on this team outside of SGA, and there's some debate in whatever corner of the world you're in about how high of a player you would rank SGA. But there's no one else on this team that's a top 15, top 20, 25 player in the league. There's not. I mean, you could have a discussion about Chet Holmgren, no doubt in my mind. You could have a discussion about Jalen Williams, no doubt in my mind. Isaiah Hartenstein, huge player. Those guys aren't top 30 players in the league, top 40 players in the league. Okay. Maybe Chet. So you're talking about an SGA that's a top 10 guy in the league and a bunch of really, really good pieces that fit, that aren't bottom 150 players in the league. And they're not everything everyone expects. They are built to win. They're built to be a good team. How long and how sustainable it is always comes down to finances. But somehow, some way, the Thunder have created an environment in Oklahoma where players want to go to. So the community environment there must be electric enough for players to want to play there. And hey, I can get paid anywhere now. It don't matter where I play. So the Thunder head to the NBA Finals, and they will await the winner of the Pacers versus the Knicks. They have their game 5 tonight. Last night, SGA 34, Chet Holmgren 22, Jalen Williams 19, Isaiah Joe off the bench 11. And then we'll find out if the Knicks can stay alive. Because right now it's looking like the Thunder and the Pacers. And to be honest with you, that could be the least sexy pick of all time if you're the NBA. But it could be the most entertaining. It could be the two best true teams left in the National Basketball Association. We'll find out, okay? But can the Knicks force a game 6 is the question. And it's going to come down to the start of this team. How are they coming out the gate? What's the first quarter for this team? Is it going to be Jalen Brunson verse, or is it going to be Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns and Josh Hart and 2, 3, 4 dudes off the bench? Not asking for the bench to score 50, but asking for a team effort where it does not feel like it's a one-man show trying to keep this thing tight. Let's hope for the best as we get late, or let's make a crazy comeback from 11, 15, 20 down. Okay? Finally, got to slow the game down. The Knicks have to slow the game down. Anytime I've watched this series, I feel like there's been a flurry of Indiana Pacer buckets. Like, bam, 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 bam. Knicks, so all of a sudden we're in a track meet here, and I've watched 16 shots combined between the two teams go up in 2.5 minutes. That's not the game you want to play if you're the Knicks. You don't have the legs for that. You don't have the offense for that. Your defense isn't set up to play defense like that. So it's going to be a knockdown, drag it, grind them out type game 5 tonight if you're the Knicks to force a game 6. And that's honestly got to be the last 3 games of the series. Slow the game down, muddy up the waters a little bit. See, if I'm Tom Thibodeau, 5 minutes into the game, I put some random guy off the bench that hasn't played a lot, PJ Tucker maybe, and I run him through Tyrese Halliburton. Flagrant 2, who cares? It doesn't matter. Guy's not going to play. He hasn't played all series. Set a tone. Put him in the 5. Let Halliburton come down the lane and absolutely drop him. Set the tone. So what? They're going to make 2 free throws and get the ball. So you're down by 3. That's been the whole series anyways. But at least this time you set the tone. So I think that's the only way I think the Knicks can stay alive in this series is changing the tempo and muddying up the game of basketball so it's almost more old school. Like Villanova when they won their 2 titles. It was like ball movement galore. Anyone could shoot the basketball, but dang, could every dude play D. Every dude could play D. That's what it feels like. And it's funny because we have Villanova products on this team. But it's defense and slow the game down first. Then let's get the basketball moving on offense. We're going to get the show moving here on a Thursday, 7:15, May 29th, the Rome Show, 12OZ Sports. Get the social media wherever you get your social media. Is the Rome Show 1. Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok. You know the drill. It is not Tuesday, but it is exciting because we get hockey with Rocky on a Thursday. Let's do it. Now, inside the glass, hockey with Rocky.
Let's go. What's going on, everyone? I'm Matthew Kachuk, and I'm heading back to the Stanley Cup final for the third year in a row. Feeling great today.
Maddie, I feel like the entire Florida Panthers fan base is feeling exciting today.
Yeah, the dominant Florida Panthers just big brothered Carolina and said, "Not yet, little brother. You'll be a varsity player one day, just not today."
Yeah, wow. I could not believe what I watched in that series. And I know we were texting about it last night, and it was funny just to let people inside the curtain. Rocky sends a message to me essentially about a line change or something that the Panthers should do. And it felt like within 4 seconds, all of a sudden the Panthers were winning 3-2. And I was like, maybe I guess they do know what they're doing here. And Rocky's reaction was funny, but it's just that's how good that team is. They make adjustments, Rock, that quickly, and it's like I feel like they're on a track to win another Stanley Cup. It probably could be Edmonton and then on the other side, but I don't think Edmonton is a good enough on both sides of the puck to be able to handle this Florida team.
I don't know, man. The way Edmonton's playing and the way Stuart Skinner is playing, it's a Stuart Skinner we have never seen before, and I think Edmonton's more dangerous than they were last year.
Oh, all right. So let's start there then. Let's start with first closing the book on Carolina versus Florida, then letting us know if you even think Dallas has a shot, and then we'll go from there.
I think Carolina it finds themselves just not good enough. You know, they play a Florida style. They play Florida's game, but in the regular season. Like they don't play like they're not mean enough, I don't think. I think that they find themselves getting caught trying to be Florida. Now they have they're structurally sound, they're just as aggressive, they can play just as physical, but they don't have the one more piece of high end talent, but also the mean streak that Florida has. So when they find themselves, to me, games 1 through 3 was Carolina just got eaten up trying to beat Florida, trying to beat them at their own game, and you're not going to do it. They've proven that 3 years in a row, they are the best at this style of play. You can't beat them at their own game. I was thinking the same thing you just said about the Knicks. To me, Carolina should have been hey, arm's length away. Don't get caught up in the stuff. 1-2-2. Let's trap them. Let's slow the game way down. Let's not let them forecheck.
Yeah.
Let's not let them play physical, and let's try and beat them in transition.
Yeah,
but
I just think that sometimes with teams like that, that's what you got to do because they're built to be fast in every aspect of their game. And if you don't slow them down, it's impossible.
And I love Rod Brindamore, but Rod, the bod, right? You take a bad penalty. Kakanieme, what a great last name. To have fun trying to spell that one.
Nope.
He takes just a terrible penalty. And you're on the power play when he takes it. Just awful penalty. 2-0 second period. They score within 14 seconds. And then 15 seconds after that, they score again. And you don't take a timeout.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I know you only get one in hockey, but that's the time.
It doesn't matter. You said that you want to know when he took his timeout? When he went down 5-3.
Yeah, and that point's too late. Yeah.
What a waste.
Yeah, I agree. And
they've been scoring at rapid pace on you in bunches like this all series. Stop it from happening.
Here's the goal totals for the Florida Panthers in the 5-game series. 5, 6, 0, 5. So they took a game off there at home in game 4 and then came back with vengeance, scoring 5 unanswered, by the way, in game 5.
Their force is they are a force to be reckoned with. All 3 lines contributed. They all have star power. They all have big game scoring prowess, and they all have the ability to absolutely beat the ever-living crap out of you and are not afraid to do it. I mean, they go up 5-2 in game 3, and Matthew Tkachuk just chases. Was it Seth Jarvis around the ice? No, it was and it's just like, it's literally like an older brother toying with a younger brother. Like, oh yeah, yeah, but no, I'm gonna beat the shit. I'm gonna beat you up. Like they're just
like
so
the
much
arm,
tougher.
and
They were
swing.
just so much tougher than Carolina. I mean, it's amazing. It's just amazing how Carolina just like didn't have the toughness, and they are one of the toughest team in the league all year.
So let's flip our sights to tonight. Dallas looking to stay alive against Edmonton. Talk to us there.
I thought Dallas's chance to really, take a leap and get back into the series was in game 4. And similar to what we're seeing or what we saw in Carolina, you're kind of like, are these guys fizzling out again? Have they reached their limit? I mean, Dallas and Carolina are really kind of mirror images of each other, one West Coast, one East Coast, in the final the last 3 years, one of the top teams in their conference. Everyone expects them to take the leap, be a final contender. They've got, depth through the middle of the ice, depth at defense, depth up front. They do have scoring ability. Like, they've got it all. But they cannot live up to what we have seen from Edmonton and Florida. And Dallas, I felt more like Carolina than they did like Dallas, just having a tough night in game 4.
I want to
or game 5.
I feel like Dallas this series feels like Edmonton has felt in years past.
Yeah.
Where it's just like you can't stop the other team. There's no ability to even stop the puck when the other team has it.
No, and you talked a lot about they talked a lot about Carolina needing their big players to play. Like, you need Tyler Seguin to score a goal. You need Jamie Benn to score a goal. You need Robertson to score. You need the guys that lead your team throughout the year. I mean, think about it. You lived and died on Mikko Rantanen in the round 2, which is great, but he wasn't there up until, 2 months left in the season. So where are the guys that carried you? Seguin, wasn't even there all year. So, like, where's Jamie Benn? Where are your high-end number 1 players? They need to go score goals for the Dallas Stars, and that's the only way you're going to stay alive in the series.
We're talking to resident hockey player, hockey expert, Rocky Romanella, normally Tuesday guy, today a Thursday guy. Write in YouTube or X if you have a comment or question for Rocky. I think that's the conversation we've been having all postseason. It started with the Toronto Maple Leafs and Austin Matthews, but it doesn't matter what sport you play, Rocky, or what postseason you're in, at what level. It doesn't matter. If you're a coach, you're setting up your ability to win in those moments around your best players. And it doesn't mean that Tyler Seguin or Austin Matthews or anybody in that realm has to go be Michael Jordan. But at the same time, you can't go be a fourth liner in the most important moments. You just have to be consistent with your play. And I think, you can tell me if I'm wrong, it's really a mental thing. I mean, any sport, you get into the moments where the best players aren't performing. That's all mental. We've seen it from James Harden his entire career.
Yeah, and listen, you're not wrong. And by the way, from a team standpoint, Dallas does have a chance to regain some momentum in the series. Zach Hyman is out for the rest of the playoffs and the rest of the season. He got surgery yesterday. I mean, Zach Hyman has got 36 goals he's got more goals than Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews combined in like the same amount of games. He is one of the most prominent figures of goal scoring on that team because of the way he can complement Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and their high-end guys. That's a huge blow to the offense of Edmonton, even though he's not those two guys. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that toys and messes with the Edmonton lineup and if Dallas can capitalize. But if they had a chance and they were able to at least wound Edmonton, they got a pretty prominent goal scorer, and they need to take advantage of it tonight or their season's over.
It's funny. I feel like, was it last year where Zach Hyman just like went off with goals? And
yeah, he scored 50 goals last year in the regular season, but he's having another strong playoffs this year.
Yeah, 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points, plus 10 on the plus minus so far in the postseason through 15 games. He is the 5th highest point scorer on the team. And when you talk about best players being best players, Rocky, listen to this. Connor McDavid, okay, top pick for the Edmonton Oilers. 24 points, 5 goals, 19 assists. Leon Draisaitl, top dog pick for Edmonton. 23.7 goals, 16 assists. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, he might have been the earliest top pick for this Edmonton Oilers team. 18 points, 5 goals, 13 assists. And then a defenseman, Evan Bouchard, they centered their blue line around this guy. 6 goals, 11 assists, 17 points. That's what you're talking about.
I know. You've got your skill guys, your high-end guys all contributing, and your goaltender is showing a side of himself that you need to have to win a Stanley Cup, right?
I kind of want an Oilers Stuart Skinner jersey. Like, that's kind of the one that I want, dude.
As much as I am a studier, a learner, and a lover of dynasties, I think I am hardcore cheering for the Oilers at this point.
I mean, and I think my last question on this is it good for the NHL for it to be Edmonton versus Florida? Is that the best possible matchup? Is there a better matchup? Because I'm thinking about it, I'm going, this could be great for the NHL. They get a Canada team that's really good with really good superstars back in the final. And I think it's only made the sport of hockey greater that both of those Florida teams have been this good for the last 7 years.
Listen, I don't see how it's bad when you look at the script that was written during last year's final. The 3-0 comeback to 3-3, Game 7, 1-goal game. You've got the most dominant, electric, best player in the league in that mix. You have one of the most historically known franchises in the NHL in Edmonton just because it housed Wayne Gretzky. And they have literally not been back to a Stanley Cup victory since the days of Mark Messier and Wayne Gretzky. I mean, the storylines for hockey history and the fact that Edmonton has been knocking on the door and is in jeopardy, hockey's in jeopardy of that all being broken up if Connor McDavid can't do it in Edmonton. I don't see how you're not thrilled.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
I don't see how you're not thrilled. The other thing I think is fascinating is the blueprint for what it takes to be in the final is written so clearly with Florida. It is like pretty clear with Edmonton. You had a season where your parity reigned. Right? You saw the Capitals come to the top unexpectedly. You saw the Devils take a leap into. You've got the Red Wings meandering back into prominence. On the West Coast, you've got LA like up and coming. You've got Winnipeg dominant all year. You had 5 Canadian teams in the playoffs this year, the most we've seen in recent history. Like
Buffalo's still not good though. Anyway,
nah, they still suck. Right? You've done great with expansion. Vegas is still good. Seattle had a great year. Utah had a great year.
Sick logo too, by the way.
What good storylines across yet? It is the same 2 teams that find themselves, and obviously it's not done yet when Edmonton's hammered, but it pretty much looks like it's going to be. And you look at yourself and you look at all of these moves these GMs make and all of the stuff. And it's like your blueprint is right there.
Yep.
And you either have to beat them at their own game or you need to actually out X's and O's and outmaneuver them. And no one has been able to do it yet.
Yeah, they've only been able to do it in a game or 2 in a series. And I think that is why you're like, yeah, no, it's going to be these 2 teams.
It's got to be Edmonton. Edmonton is the only team that has showcased their ability to take Florida to 7 games.
Yeah, and on top of that, by the way, I feel like they're the only team that's been able to put a sliver of doubt into their minds. I think that's the key. Like, they won Game 4 last year, and for the first time, at least in my opinion, in the last 2 postseasons, that was the only time I felt like the Florida Panthers looked in the mirror and said, maybe we can't do this. And that's the only team.
No, and it's been a period at a time. And like if they lost the game, it wasn't the full game. It was like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And like they were just, they just didn't have enough time in the games that they've lost in the playoffs. But
it's a great point out of you. Rocky, we got a few more minutes left here. But before you get out of here, I promised the people we'd ask. All right. So you completed a marathon over the weekend. First and foremost, that deserves some of this. Exciting. Very exciting. 2 hours and 3. No, I'm kidding. That would be electric.
Yeah, right.
That'd be a Guinness World Record.
I was halfway done at 2 hours.
Talk to us. What is it like running 26.2 miles? Because I read a statistic, thanks to your beautiful wife, that less than 1% of Americans complete a marathon. So
world
talk to us.
population. World population.
So you're one of literally 0.5% that does something. That's pretty cool.
That is actually a really fun stat. Someone told me that early on in the training, like someone who had run one before, and I was like, oh, that's like pretty cool.
That's like fire, yeah.
But then as you get deep into training, like you're like, oh, okay, this like kind of motivates me. And then like you get done with it, and you're like, yeah, this is awesome. But it was an incredible experience. I trained for 18 weeks, which was probably my favorite part. And then getting into the race, it's hard to explain. Like you're prepared, I think the longest I ran in training was 19 miles. So you're prepared to go 3/4 of the race, and the 3/4 of the race that you prepare for, like you're relatively in control of yourself for. Like the first half of the race was, I was in full control, no problems, running my pace, felt great. And then that third stage, where you start getting into like, all right, this is the longest I've ever run. You're starting to feel like, okay, like you're starting to feel fatigue, and you're like, all right, I'm like 3 hours in, and like I've been running for 3 hours. Like I'm good,
right.
like,
yeah, all right, here we go.
I'm good. You're running on a street, so your feet, your ankles are killing you.
Sure.
And then, you start getting into that point of no return where it's like, listen, like you're tired.
Yeah.
But you have an hour at least left to go.
Yeah, like it's a minimum.
So
you control the speed, but you really can't control anything right now. You're just moving like a robot.
Exactly. Right? It is. You just have to keep moving, right? Like you kind of know that you're
not peeing. You're not doing anything.
No, I peed at 13. I peed like halfway, knowing that I needed all of my senses to complete the final piece. So as you get into the last 6 to 8 miles, it starts to become more of a mental challenge than anything. Obviously, physically, you're starting to feel very beat up and weak. Right. But like you're at a point of no return, because if you stop and like you start walking, like I just don't know if you're ever going to start up again. Yeah. And there were people walking, and like it was tough to like run by, because you're like, man, I kind of want to walk with you, and I get why you're tired, but like I can't do that.
Right. And you still, if you walk for a mile and then run the other 25.2, you still complete a marathon. And it's
but it doesn't feel the same. For me, it doesn't feel the same.
I would agree. No, listen, I've never ran more than probably 7 miles, but I would say that I understand that feeling.
Yeah. I think obviously I had a goal time, which I knew was a little bit of a stretch, but I'm happy I came very close to it.
You were really close to it.
But like I think more than the goal time, running the whole thing was probably most important to me.
So what does it feel like after you complete the marathon? Because you were describing it to me, and I found it very interesting the way you described it.
Yeah, it was. So you struggle for the last 6, and I mean, you are every cliche in the book. I mean, if you've been in a locker room and you said it to your teammates, you said it to yourself at the land, like 1 mile at a time, 1 step at a time, like you didn't come all this way just to walk now, like like that's it, like just keep going, like it's gonna be worth it in the end, like it's about the journey, it's not the finish. like you got it all. So you finally get to the end, and I stop running, and like you're just hit. There's 2 waves that you're hit with that I was not prepared for. One was the physical, and that was like I stopped running, and like my left quad was like 10 times worse than what it was hurting, but then like it just completely knotted up. So like I can't, like I take a step, I like can't walk. Everything's starting to cramp up because you got no water. You just, I hydrated the days before. I took my, but I'm just
26 miles.
Listen, like no. So you're out of breath. You're just like, you're kind of like in a daze. Like, I can't believe that just happened. and that's physical. then this mental wave of emotion comes over you, like you did it, like it's over, and like you can kind of relax now, but you can't relax because your body's in such bad shape, and you're just caught in between this, like, how do I not collapse, and like how do I try and enjoy this, and like the emotion, the physical like I have never experienced like that level of shock after anything, I think, in my life. And it was like it was like tough to control. It was pretty crazy, actually.
How long after that experience right there did it take for you to, and I know feeling normal is a real relative term here,
Yes.
but to feel back to like, okay, I'm like a human again?
Like officially, like a little bit the same day, like a little bit same day. Like it took like, I mean, the walk back to the hotel was tough.
I can't imagine.
Oh, the walk back. I mean, it's like 4 blocks, and I was like right near the start finish line. I mean, it's like a 10-minute walk normal, and it's just, you're slow, you can barely move. Like I go to lay down in the bed in the hotel, and like I can't lay because you can't move because everything starts getting tight. Like my knees would get tight, my hips. So you like the ride home, like about an hour later, you're starting to feel like, all right, this is pretty cool. You talk to some people, you send some texts, you start to remember like the parts, like the signs, people cheering for you. All that's incredible. Really can't explain like how cool it is to have so many people there just cheering you on. They look at your bib, they say your name, they're like, you're doing great. They're like, yeah, 799, you got it. They're like, oh, here we go, Rocco, you're crushing. You're like, thank you, but like, just leave me alone. Like, you know, like, but I would say that it really set in probably the day after, and like even like 2 days after. It was really where your sense of accomplishment kind of settled in, and like you felt really proud, and you know, to hear other people talk to you about it, and like, you know, how people, you know, it's not like a joking thing. It's not like, you know, like it's not like a turkey trot, you know, like it's a legit, a very, very serious accomplishment, and people like are respectful, and that's a really nice feeling.
I definitely understand that. As somebody that was watching your little tracker go the entire time, that to me is where it hit more like, you're my brother. I've watched you work out for 34 years of my life. There's no one that I've ever seen is more motivated in the gym as you. So now I'm watching the tracker that I've listened to you talk to. I ran 12 miles today. I ran 13. Check out this run on the water, right? And I'm like, man, he's really doing this. But then you watch your little tracker, and it's like, this map is huge, and I'm only looking at it on the phone, you know? And it's like, how I can't imagine what that feels like as the person running. So I think that it's really cool that you're able to, you know, kind of come back and realize like, dude, this is an unreal accomplishment that literally barely any people could probably handle. So I have one final question. Are you ever going to do it again?
I don't think so. Like, I don't know. There were people that finished the race that just like, high five, here's my, you know, aluminum blanket, like walking off. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm leaving the Jen had to take 2 trips to the car. She like took the bags to the car for me. Like, we're walking to the car, and there's this dude by himself, he's got his bag over his shoulder, his medal in his left. I was like, did you just run? He's like, yeah. And I was like, he's walking to the car. I'm like, dude, like, no.
Yeah, we all know what you're thinking. We all know what you're thinking.
Yeah, immediately after, no. I think I there's something to be said for the challenge. Like, I think when you watch interviews with people that just won the Stanley Cup or just won the championship, and they can't come to words, and they're emotional, and like they literally can't answer questions. I've never probably resonated with that feeling more. Sure. And if there was anything that motivated you to do it again, it's that feeling.
Sure.
And that sense of, you know, you put in the work to do it. You had a vision of how you wanted to do it, and I'm pretty proud of how I executed against what I wanted to do. And you know how terrible you felt to really make it happen. And so like, I think that the pride of like your sense of accomplishment is the thing that would bring you back. But I don't necessarily know if that's going to happen anytime soon.
I speak on behalf of a lot of people listening to this show right now. The mile to 2 miles that I'm about to go run after this show feels a whole lot less now that I just listened to you talk about this experience.
Yeah, well, tell you what, the last mile in the 26.2 is long. And when you're coming down the main straightaway and a gust of like 15-mile-an-hour wind hits you in the face, you're like, this is a cruel joke.
Yeah,
like this is not right. I'll give the people some comic relief. There were 3 signs that I thought were just fantastic.
All right.
First sign that I saw that I like ingrained, I forgot about it, and then I remembered it, was I trained months to hold this sign. Love that sign.
That's good.
Crop dust the guy behind you was also another great sign. And then the third sign that I think was the best was therapy is also an option. So a lot of good comic relief on the streets of Buffalo during the marathon.
That is awesome stuff. Well, Rocky, congratulations on your accomplishment. Arguably, that is the most important thing we could have talked about today. And I hope you understand, we're going to clip this part of the show so that a lot of people can listen to your discussion about what it's like to run a marathon. So either A, they can steer clear of doing that because they can't handle that mentally, or it sounds exactly like what they want and they run right to the wall. Either way, I appreciate you breaking it down for us. And on behalf of the Rome Show and 12 OZ Sports, congratulations on that. Under 1% of an accomplishment.
Thank you. And if you are inspired, it doesn't have to be a marathon. Like I said, it's the discipline, it's the goal setting, and it's the accomplishment like that you're after. So find a goal and attack it. It's a really nice way to complement everything else you got going on. So thank you for the forum. And thank you for the congratulations.
Hockey, running, sometimes NASCAR and other sports with Rocky on a Thursday. Thank you very much, sir.
You got it. What a race by Ross Chastain, last to first the other day, by the way.
I know. All right, we'll save that for next week. NASCAR next week, running this week. Ladies and gentlemen, Rocky Romanella, he's on the show weekly. You know the drill. Sometimes depends on the day, but at the end of the day, he makes it on the show. Pretty crazy to think you do something that is only, 0.5% of the world's population can also say that they did. Like, that is awesome. Okay. And so congratulations to him. That's some pretty cool stuff. Like I said on the show, now I like to run, but that's a whole new level. And Rocky mentioned it. It's about the dedication, and it's about, the prep to get there, that commitment, that discipline. That is majority of what you're doing anytime you take on a daunting task like that. Congratulations to our resident hockey, NASCAR, running, and other expert, the one Rocky Romanella. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we end the show today. A little late, but I felt like that interview needed to happen. I will clip it, put it on the socials so people can listen to it. If you missed it, Rome Show Podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Andrew Romanella, back tomorrow, 7 a.m., maybe on location. You'll find out. Just tune in. Until then, be electric and peace.
Thank you for listening.